In college, the stakes are really high for giving credit to your sources. Colleges take plagiarism very seriously. So part of becoming a skilled academic writer means developing good skills for documenting your sources. And at 4Cs we use Noodle Tools to do this. So I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to cite an article using Noodle Tools. When you're starting a project, and when you first open Noodle Tools, you come to the Projects screen. And that just means that it's going to create a little folder in Noodle Tools for each separate project that you're working on, which is great because it allows you to sort of not have all the sources for all your different projects mixed in together. So I'm going to click this green New Project button, and I'll just give the name of the paper assignment as the name of my project. And then this is an MLA assignment, so we're going to click MLA and just make sure that Advanced is checked here. And then you're going to click Submit. Now you've created a folder for your bibliography, and you're going to click on this Sources button up here. This is where you'll begin building the actual entry for your Works Cited page. And that means at the end of your paper, you have a bibliography that's called a Works Cited page. And each separate source has a separate entry for it. So I'm going to click over here on the green New Source button to start the process of creating an entry for my Works Cited page. The first question I'm asked is, where did I get this information? And I'm trying to cite this article here that I found online. So when I look at Noodle Tools, it looks like I got this from a website, so that's what I'm going to click on for the box. And then you'll see down here that there's a list of all different kinds of sources, and they're color coordinated. And if you look down at the very bottom of the page, you'll see there's a little key for these colors. The pale yellow sources are electronic online sources, so all the websites are here. Periodicals are magazines and newspapers that are printed in an electronic form that preserves their original publication. So we'll use these formats when we're looking at essentially a PDF of a newspaper or a magazine article. And in this case, we would have the page numbers, for example, which is different than when you see an article that's posted on the internet. And then non-periodicals are books and other kinds of sources, encyclopedia, dictionaries, reports, all those sorts of things. And then here is a list of sort of multimedia sources, these green ones. They're images or sounds or videos or recordings or charts, all those sorts of things. And then unpublished sources are in pink. So you might find something that was never formally published on the web, or more importantly, you might actually interview someone or use a letter or an email communication from that person, and you would use one of these formats. And finally, these gold source types are all government documents. So I'm looking at this article that I found on the Chicago Tribune website. So when I look back here, I'm going to be choosing web page. Now I just want to show you, if instead I had chosen newspaper here, I'm going to click on this for a moment. You'll see it warns me right at the top of the page that this form is for citing digital reproductions of print newspapers. Articles on news websites are not published periodically and are cited as web pages. So I'm going to go back and use the web page form. So I'm going to go back. Oops, go back here to sources, sorry. And I'm going to choose the web page form. Okay, so you're not going to use the quick cite. Everybody is tempted to just, paste in the URL, but it doesn't give us an accurate or thorough citation, which is what you need for college writing. So, first thing that you're asked for is the URL. That's the web address of the article. So I'm going to click my cursor here. I'm going to go back over to my article. I'm going to click in the article URL right here, and then I'm going to copy it. You can use Control-C or you can right-click and copy. And now I'm going to come back to the Noodle Tools page, and I'm going to paste that URL in. Next, I'm asked for the date of publication. When was this article published? So I'm going to go back again, and I can see it says September 11th, 2018. So here I am. I'm going to go September 11th, 2018. And when did I most recently access? When did I look at this article? And today is when I'm looking at it. So I'll click that link right there. And now I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find the contributor of this article. And in this case, this is going to be the author. Sometimes you don't know who the contributor is. You can get an article in a newspaper that doesn't give any source, or on a web page. It doesn't give a writer. And in that case, you'll skip this. The advantage to Noodle Tools is the program knows what to do when certain information is missing. It knows how to format with or without different kinds of information. So I do have a contributor here, and in this case, if I go and look, I have the name of the author of the article. It's Mark Heckler. So I'm going to go back over here, and where it says role, I'm going to choose author, because that's given that he's the author. And if he weren't the author, then I would see next to his name what he did do. So you would see Mark Heckler editor or Mark Heckler translator. So since it's just giving his name, we know that he's the author. And then if I look here, Mark A. Heckler. And you want to be careful to make sure, that you punctuate and you spell correctly. Now, if there had been another author, sometimes things are written by 2 or 3 people, you could click this Add Contributor button. Web page or document article title. So if you have an article name, you're going to use that. If you just had the title of the web page, you'd use that. In this case, I have the name of the article. It's called The Importance of a College Education. I'm just going to highlight it and copy it. Go back to Noodle Tools, click here, and then I'm going to paste it. And sometimes you get this little eye for information, and it helps to take a look. And one of the things it tells you is that if you're providing a title, capitalize the first letter of the first word, last word, subtitle, and all principal words. So what that means is that even though the article itself didn't capitalize, I need to make sure that I capitalize here any important words. So prepositions and articles, we don't have to capitalize, but the main words in the title we do. So here we are, The Importance of a College Education. And I'm going to leave this blank because I don't need an English translation of the title because it's already in English. And now I'm going to go down here to the name of the website. And you'll see that if you click the little I button, it tells us again that we have to capitalize the website name. So I'm going to go up here and look, and the website name is generally in a logo up at the very top left of the page. So I can see this is called the Chicago Tribune. So I'm going to capitalize Chicago, and I'm going to capitalize Tribune. Now, the publisher of the site is usually found way at the very bottom of the page, along with a copyright. So I'm scrolling all the way down here to the bottom of the page. Sometimes it's a long way because there are lots of ads and articles and different kinds of information, but I get way down to the bottom here. And let's see what I can find. Oops. It's giving me a hard time. It's one of these sort of, clickbait kinds of things where it wants you to click on one of these links. So to actually get the information about the publisher, I had to click on the logo at the top of the page because every time I scrolled to the bottom, I just got more and more of the clickbait. So I can see here that the official name of the copyright holder is Chicago Tribune. So I'm going back to Noodle, and I'm going to type that in. And it is the same name as the website, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it is not, so you have to double check. And contributors to the site as a whole, there was no editor mentioned here. As you can see, there's not an editor, so I'm going to skip that question and keep scrolling down. And next I have this option here. It asks me if there's an addition or a version or a revision. But again, if I look at my article right at the top of the page now, back to the top, it doesn't mention that. And that information is usually found right here, right near the date. So I'm going to go back into Noodle Tools. I'm going to skip that part. And here it says annotation. And that just means if I wanted to add some kind of notes about this source, which I'm not going to. So I'm just going to click Save right here, the blue Save button. And you'll see now I have the correctly formatted, thorough citation for my Works Cited page. But I'm not going to just highlight this and copy it, because the format won't be correct when I put it on my page. So I just copied right from my Noodle page, and now I'm going to paste it into a Word document to show you what I mean. Oops. Okay, I'm going to highlight here. Copy, and now I'm going to go back to my page and paste, and you can see what happens. It comes with the yellow background, and the font isn't right, and it's not taking up, it doesn't go the full length of the page, and the spacing isn't correct. So you don't want to use this strategy when you're creating your Works Cited page. What you want to do instead, here we are back on Noodle, is click on the Print Export button here. And when I click that option, this menu, I get Print Export to Word as an option. And I just downloaded right here a copy of the correct citation in Word format. So I'm going to show you that. So you can see Noodle actually made a Word document. And I'm going to click Enable Editing. Here is the document, and you can see now that the correct Works Cited title is centered at the top of the page, and here is the entry. And I could add this to my own Word document just by copying it, highlighting it, and copying it and pasting it into the end of my document. But it's all correctly formatted for Word in this way. Okay, so the other thing that you need is the in-text citation. So that's what you put within your paper to give credit to your author. So if I click here on Options, In-Text Citation, it shows you what's going to go in those parentheses. And in this case, it's just going to be the author's last name, Heckler, because it's an online source and because there is no page number. There aren't page numbers in online sources. So that lets me know how I will use or give credit to the source within my paper. The great thing about Noodle Tools is that I can begin a project, and if I come back and I add more sources to the project, Noodle Tools will organize them, and when it creates the bibliography, they'll all be alphabetized and correctly spaced, etc. So we really do want you to use Noodle Tools in this class in English Comp 1 and throughout your academic career at Cape Cod Community College.